Today I got my hands on the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra and we're going to dig into everything for you. Are you ready? Let's do it. The unboxing experience was pretty simplistic to say the least. You get the Galaxy S24, a USB-C to USB-C cable, and a SIM eject tool. I miss the unboxings when you get more stuff, and I know that's pretty uncommon now in the North American market, but when I did the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, it came with all that stuff plus a charging block and a case, which shows like just to get a cheap version of that stuff is really easy to do. Now, if you want to compare the S24 Ultra to its predecessor, the S23 Ultra, we did a little bit of that in a previous video, but also we can have a look at it again. So when you look at most of the specs, you're going to see that the upgrades are mostly generational. You're going to go from a Gen 2 Snapdragon 8 to a Gen 3, from an Adreno 740 GPU to an Adreno 750. You have an improved octa-core CPU, but a lot of the hardware seems to be exactly the same. There are, however, a few key differences that I want to point out to you. First of all, just the overall shape of the phone. While yes, it's roughly the same size and it's a big old rectangle, it's rounded off on the S23 Ultra and it's been squared off and flattened on the S24 Ultra. The bodies are made from different materials. The Galaxy S23 Ultra is made of aluminum and the Galaxy S24 Ultra is made of titanium. Now, the reason for that is that titanium is better at dissipating heat, so it's actually going to keep the inside of your phone a whole lot cooler. Think of it as that base layer you wear that's moisture wicking, except remove the moisture, add heat. Avoid the moisture. I don't know, is this a really terrible analogy? Looking to the front of the phone, they've upgraded their glass. The S23 Ultra had the Gorilla Glass Victus 2, whereas the S24 Ultra offers Gorilla Glass Armor. It's supposed to be their most scratch-resistant glass to date, and there's actually a bonus to this glass because it's actually glare-resistant. If you compare the S23 and S24, you'll actually see how much glare that the S23 takes on compared to the 24. And the last changes to the cameras on your back. The periscope telephoto lens is actually changed from a 10 megapixel camera with 10 times zoom to a 50 megapixel camera with 5 times zoom. And whenever you see a number get smaller like that, you start to worry that there's a bit of a downgrade, but the resolution is actually going to pick up a lot of where that zoom left off. So what I did is I took the same picture from the exact same spot using both cameras, using the 10 times zoom on the S23 Ultra and the 5 times zoom on the S24 Ultra, and then with an editing tool, I just punched in on the S24's image to make them match roughly the same size. And you can see that the S24 still has better detail than the S23's image, and there's still even more room to punch in on the S24. We'll get into more of the camera stuff later, so make sure you hang on for that. Now it's time to get into the software side of things. The Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra is running Android 14 and One UI 6.1, and while the S23 Ultra can be upgraded to Android 14, it can only go up to One UI 6. The user interface has been cleaned up and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's really intuitive, everything's right where you want it, and just the clean lines and overall uniformity of the whole thing just makes it really pretty to look at. Also, you have a much improved tactile experience on the phone. The haptics have been improved and they're really accurate and immediate, and the phone's overall responsiveness is fantastic. If you're just dragging your thumb to slowly go through something, or you're flicking through an article really fast, what you're seeing on the screen feels like it's something physical that's reacting to your touch, like you're spinning a wheel or something. And on the other side, it's not quick to jump to the gun when you're making subtle little changes, because sometimes I used to touch the screen and it would go, oh, you're trying to swipe, and then it would just swipe for me. It doesn't do that. And the battery life on this thing is unreal. It's unlike anything that any of the major flagships can offer. It's got the exact same 5,000 milliamp hour battery that the S23 Ultra has, but they've been able to optimize the performance on the S24 Ultra to a crazy degree. I've had this phone for just a little over 2 weeks, and there's only been one time where I went to bed where the battery life was under 40%, and that was on a day where I was doing some pretty heavy testing. I was doing a lot of internal screen recording, I was shooting video. I also stayed up for probably an extra 2 hours compared to the other nights, and it was still at 21% when I went to bed. And that's with all the regular uses too. That's me going on TikTok like crazy. That's me doing a bunch of gaming. I have not been taking it easy on this. But speaking of gaming, Samsung has said that its gaming experience is going to be fantastic. For gamers, it should be a game changer. I played a bunch of games from the reasonably static to more resource-heavy games, and not once did I experience a second of lag, screen tearing, or anything like that. All of the games performed at their peak level, and it was really only the second time that I felt any heat coming off of this thing. The other time being when I did all that internal screen recording that I was talking about earlier. And while I did see some extra battery use on a game like Real Racing 3, which is a little bit of a resource hog, it's still not that bad. And like I said, still going to sleep with more than 40% battery, and that's including my gaming time. Okay, now it's finally time to talk cameras. Let's talk about the UI first. I love Samsung's UI so much. It's easy to find everything. Again, very intuitive. Switching between settings and understanding what all of your settings actually are is really easy. All the other modes are easy to get to and organize, and for a content creator, that's something that's really important to me for when I'm out in the field. I switch between a lot of things depending on my needs at that given time, and sometimes every second counts. Now for the camera's actual performance itself, the everyday photos are fantastic. And when I'm talking about everyday photos, I'm talking about, decent lighting conditions, using the correct lens for your subject, things like that. And there's major improvements over the S23 Ultra. You can see how much faster I can take photos now. Your standard pictures are going to be 12 megapixels. If you use that 5 times zoom lens, that's going to be 50 megapixels. And then you have a 200 megapixel option. I took this picture of my cat's face with the 200 megapixel option, and as I punched in, I could actually see the detail of the lighting and my computer monitor and the reflection of her eyes. It's a fantastic option, but it definitely has its use cases. The lens actually has a maximum of 10 times zoom, so you don't want to be too far away from things. And the more you zoom in, the more you're going to lose out on what the good quality is anyways. So try and keep it probably within 5 times zoom, I think would be good. The 100 times zoom feature, which don't get me wrong, is really cool to have, isn't going to give you the really good quality of photo that you want. There's 2 reasons for that. 1, it's obviously a digital zoom, and 2, it's really hard to keep that steady if you're not on a tripod or something like that. The fact that it gives you the little guide on the top corner is incredibly helpful. And if you're just trying to capture something, then fine, you can go ahead and use it. But if you're really trying to take a nice crisp photo, that's not the way to go about it. So this is the overall quality of the camera. I'm using the mic directly from the phone. I don't have any external mics hooked up to it right now. This is what I'm getting. I'm just holding it away from me right now. Nothing specifically special. I just wanted to show you kind of the detail that you can get on the face and just the overall color quality. I wish this phone would have came out in the spring so I could show you real color quality. Right now it's all gray outside, but even when I get really close up, the detail is pretty fantastic on this thing. Now that last one was the front-facing camera. Now we're using the rear-facing camera, and this is the ultra-wide lens that we're using. Much better to be able to be so wide if you're vlogging or something like that. Of course, not being able to see yourself is a little bit of a challenge. That would be an interesting challenge for Samsung maybe in the future if they made one specifically for content creators, to have just a little screen under there to be able to preview yourself. And while I can't hear it right now, I'm assuming I'm blocking the microphone a little bit and that it's not going to sound quite as good. Again, this is where you would want to use an external microphone, and that's okay. Now when it comes to low light video recording, it's still a little bit grainy, but it's improved over the S23 Ultra. You're still going to get decent detail out of the image, but if you're on it for too long, it's going to start to get a little bit noticeable, so you want to avoid it as much as possible. Again, but that's more for an artistic purpose. If you're using these videos just for yourself and to share with your friends, no issues whatsoever. Low light photography has gotten a boost though with the AI nightography, and when it's done, it's added a little bit of that extra processing that Samsung does so well, and you can see the difference in these photos here with the nightography turned off and turned on. And now we get to the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra's big selling point, and that's Galaxy AI. And again, we talked about a lot of these in the previous video, so you can go and check those out if you want a little bit more detail on them. One thing we didn't talk about though is the ability to summarize things in Galaxy AI. You can take an article that you're reading and select summarize, and what it's going to do, it's actually going to break down that big article into just kind of the talking points that you're looking to get out of the article. Sometimes it's really just important for people to get to the point. How long has this video been on? And other than summarizing other people, you can also summarize yourself. In the Notes app, Summarize will actually take everything you've written down and put it into a more organized form. And that's super important as somebody who takes notes a lot when I'm doing product reviews and things like that. Because if you're like me and you just take crazy stream of consciousness notes all over the place, it's really hard to go back and reference them later. But if you use Summarize and you clean those notes up to the bullet points, they're actually going to be something that's a useful reference to you later. But the other things that Galaxy AI can do are equally game-changing. The new transcription feature for your voice recorder app takes multiple people and can actually separate their dialogue if you're doing an interview. And again, that's something I do a lot. That's a real time saver. Even if I'm doing something on video, I can actually play it back and then have the voice recorder take that, separate it out, and that allows me to really quickly transcribe my video. If you're writing a text or something like that, Galaxy AI can help. You can actually change your writing style based on a bunch of different things. You have Shakespeare and chill and excited and formal. So if you're not really good at writing in the tone that the situation demands, Samsung's got your back. You can also quickly translate your text with Galaxy AI and then send those texts to people who speak different languages. And what's cool is once you've set up a translation for a specific recipient, that'll actually stay set. So say you have some great aunt who's Spanish, it'll be consistently ready for you so you don't have to keep resetting it up every time. And that aunt will say, gracias. You can also do the live translate on any phone call. Once you make the call, you go to phone assist, you go to live translate and select the language of the other person. Then what's going to happen is they're going to find out that they're going to be getting translated messages. And when you speak, it's going to translate and send the audio of that translation to them. Then when they speak, it's going to translate and send the audio and the text translation back to you. The photo and video manipulation is so cool. If you actually go in with AI photo, you go in to edit a photo and you hit the AI button and that actually generates an AI image for you. Then from there, you can select anything and you can do do things like resizing it. You can remove items from the background. You can even skew the photo and tilt it, and you'll notice that a lot of blank spots show up when you do that, but AI is actually going to fill those in and actually complete your environment. And the instant slow-mo has been so cool because if I take a regular video and I'm like, oh, I wish I would have captured that little bit in slow-mo, now you can. All you have to do is when you're playing the video, you just have to hold your thumb down on the screen at the spot that you want to slow down. You'll watch it slow down and just release when you want it to go back to normal speed. And then when you go in to edit the video, you'll see an adjust speed button. And when you hit on that, it's actually going to let you select from a number of slow-mo speeds. And the area that you slowed down will already be pre-selected. So then all you have to do is preview it, and then you can save it like that's how you took it in the first place. But my favorite Galaxy AI feature so far has been circle to search by a long shot. Just by holding down that center button with your camera activated, it's actually going to create a capture, and then you can circle anything in it, and it does a perfect search. It's been super accurate for me. But what's so cool, it's not limited to what you can see at the moment. Any photos or videos that you've had in the past, you can easily go back and do the exact same thing. You can just be watching a video and go, hey, what's that? And do the circle to search, and then be able to search it right in the moment. So the Galaxy AI is super cool, but comes with a little bit of a caveat. Samsung is only making this available for free until the end of 2025. There's no talk about what the cost is going to be after that point. Is it going to be a monthly subscription thing? Is it going to be a one-time thing? But the bottom line is right now, because none of this is actually done natively on your phone, it's all done from Samsung's servers. So they're trying to get people in now to be early adopters of it and then be able to recoup the money later with those extra charges.
The first one's always free.
So if you're only going to get the phone for like a 2-year contract or something like that, you'll catch a little bit of the charge on the end unless you want to just kind of get rid of it. But between now and then, you should be fine. And then hopefully sometime within this 2-year period, we're going to be able to talk them into something reasonable, like actually making you able to do it on your phones. So now we come to the price, and obviously the question, is it worth upgrading if you've already got the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra? So the S24 Ultra costs $1299.99 US for the 256 gig version, $1499.99 US for the 512 gig version, and $1659.99 US for the 1 terabyte version. Now, right now they're offering pretty decent trade-in values for up to $750 off the phone. I'm guessing that's if you're trading something in more premium like the S23 Ultra, but it takes the range of those prices down from $549.99 to $909.99 US, depending on what phone you choose. So still not a cheap upgrade, but is it a worthwhile upgrade? I'm gonna say yes, and here's why. First off, the Galaxy S24 Ultra is gonna have 7 years worth of updates. That is unheard of in the major markets for flagship phones. Secondly, even though, like I said, the upgrades are all generational, the performance is there. It feels a lot more powerful than something that's just the next step up. And thirdly, Samsung has done a fantastic job optimizing this phone for better battery life, a more responsive phone, and just overall a better user experience. But if you're perfectly happy with your S23 Ultra and the only thing you'd really want to upgrade for is Galaxy AI, hold on to it for a little bit because the software updates for that phone will probably get you access to that. I've heard no confirmation to the contrary anyways. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. Is it worth the upgrade to you? Is it worth switching if you're with somebody else? And while you're down there, make sure to hit the like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I have new videos coming out. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, let's get to work. Help, I'm trapped in my fridge, and the only way you can get out is if you click this video right here. It's been picked for you, so just do it. Go!